The most common question I get from parents is, what should I actually feed my son or daughter for them to lose weight? Should I put them on a low carb diet? Tell them they can never have dessert again? Or should we all just go plant-based, cut all animal products, and eat carrots for the rest of our lives? Maybe I should also avoid gluten, dairy, seed oils, and never have fun food again. So if you're anything like the thousands of parents that I have helped as a nutritional therapist specializing in children's weight loss, you're probably confused by all the advice that you're reading online or even getting from nutritionists or doctors. The truth is, most people don't have any idea what diet children should go on to lose weight. The only reason I do is because I was actually obese as a kid and as an adult, and I've tried every diet that you can think of, and I finally found that the solution wasn't to follow any diet at all. What helped me finally lose weight was understanding how food was affecting my body and my mind. And now I can effortlessly choose foods that truly fulfill me and naturally lead to a healthy weight, whether I'm at home, at a restaurant, or on vacation. And if you're anything like the mom who recently told me that their child is like a bottomless pit and she feels like she's either feeding them or fighting them about food, and if your child says that they're hungry right after eating, craves sugars or snacks all day, gets moody or tired right after meals, and even has trouble focusing or staying calm, then this video is for you. In this video, I'll be teaching you the 3 core pillars of healthy nutrition that will help you and your child lose weight without feeling hungry. So let's get straight into it. The first pillar is, if you can't grow it, don't eat it. You want to eat whole, minimally processed, nutrient-rich foods for most of your nutrition. The truth is, 3 out of 5 children in the US are overweight today not because they are overfed, but because they're actually undernourished. When you eat processed foods, things like chicken nuggets, pizza, chips, candies, which is unfortunately what kids naturally gravitate to because there's actually billions of dollars spent making them taste better and more addictive and even look better with a bunch of attractive colors and cartoon characters. With these kinds of foods, you get a lot of calories, but not enough of what your body actually needs to grow and repair cells, which are things like proteins, vitamins, minerals, and you're certainly not getting enough fiber. And because your child's body is undernourished, even though it's overfed in calories, their brain keeps telling them that they have to go eat. And since to them this just feels like normal hunger, they continue eating more of the processed foods because that's frankly just what's easier to access and even tastes better. So the first thing you should do as a parent is to limit your child's access to any food that is heavily processed, like sugary snacks, packaged meals, fast foods, foods that come in boxes, and even refined grains, such as white bread or refined pasta. Here's a fact that might surprise you. White bread is actually digested more quickly than table sugar, meaning it causes a more immediate blood sugar spike and a subsequent crash, leading to even more food cravings than raw table sugar. You also want to avoid foods with long ingredient lists or unfamiliar additives, as these are often indicative of high levels of processing, and there might even be some addictive components added in them to make them taste better. Once you've done this, then you want to stock your fridge and pantry with real foods, things like fresh meat, fruits and veggies, and yes, even complex carbohydrates like beans, sweet potatoes, oats, brown rice, and quinoa. These are the foods that will actually nourish your child and not feed them a bunch of empty, addictive calories that leave them undernourished. And if at this point you're thinking, my son or daughter will never eat these kinds of food, trust me, I've worked with families whose children will eat nothing but Oreo cookies for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and we were able to help them transition to eating mostly whole foods. I'll be making a video specifically on picky eating soon, so you can subscribe to not miss out on that. The second pillar is to simply eat balanced. A common mistake I see parents make, and I've made this mistake myself 100 times, is to go on a low-carb diet, or a keto diet, or a vegan diet, or any form of restrictive diet to lose weight. And I can't blame you. Everywhere you go, there's someone who claims to have lost a lot of weight on a diet, but what you don't often hear is how they just keep yo-yoing up and down and usually gain the weight back after the diet. I really want to emphasize this point because I've done hundreds of attempts of caloric restriction, keto, fasting where I drank nothing but water for weeks at a time, and I truly understand the allure of wanting to go hardcore for a couple of months to quickly lose the weight, but it fails every single time in the long run. This is why I don't recommend any form of restriction for weight loss. I want you to avoid anything that you know you or your child won't be able to sustain for the rest of your lives. Doing an unbalanced diet or using restriction is by definition unsustainable because your body will naturally want to come back to a state of balance called homeostasis by overcompensating in the other direction once you're done with the diet. This is what causes yo-yo dieting. In this pillar, I want you to focus on simply feeding your child a balanced diet of whole foods until they are full. And what is a balanced diet? A good rule of thumb is if you can imagine each plate of food, it should be about 1/3 protein, 1/3 complex carbohydrates, and 1/3 fiber. And you want to include healthy fats in moderation for cooking or in your proteins like meat and dairy. So for breakfast, this might look like egg with egg whites for your protein, with veggies added into it for fiber, and a side of quinoa for your complex carbohydrates. You could also have a Greek yogurt bowl with frozen berries and hemp seed, or simply a protein smoothie with spinach and your fruit of choice. For lunch and dinner, this might look like a roast chicken salad with brown rice, sweet potatoes, carrots, and steak, or simply some canned beans, some steamed broccoli, and homemade burger patties. By eating these kinds of real foods in balance until you are full, your child will start receiving much more reliable fullness signals and stop getting hungry throughout the day for no good reason. And if you want more ideas like these recipes, I'm actually working on a cookbook, and you can grab the first draft in the link in the description. The third and last pillar is to eat foods that give you energy, not take it away. I want you to start being mindful of how the food you eat makes you and your child feels. What I mean by this is, start simply checking in with your body after a meal and noticing what's happening. Your body is a wonderful machine, and it tells you everything you need to know if you learn to listen to it. I want you to start noticing after a meal, are you feeling energized or sluggish? Is your child getting tired after eating food or getting super hyper, which happens after eating sugary foods? And notice if the food that you or your child is eating is keeping you full for a short while or is sustaining you for hours at a time. If you do this enough, you'll start noticing that junk food is actually painful. Sure, it tastes good for about 5 seconds, but then if you tune in on how your stomach and body feels, it usually feels uncomfortable, and you're probably feeling sluggish and low in energy after eating. Remember, food should give you energy, not take it away. Nowadays, whenever I see fried foods, I immediately feel a pain in my stomach, which completely negates the seconds of pleasure I would feel eating the food, and my brain doesn't even consider these foods as an option any longer. And trust me, I used to eat a ton of processed foods like fried chicken and pizza in the past. What starts happening is that when you tap into this awareness consistently over time, you train your brain to take into account the full picture of pain and pleasure when you're eating junk food. And this helps you override the short-term bias your brain has for immediate pleasure. And then you can help your child notice the same and eventually make them understand that junk food doesn't actually feel good. But usually the younger they are, the more you have to help them notice this over and over until it sticks. Hopefully these 3 pillars showed you a new, deeper way to think about what you should feed your child to help them lose weight. So if you found this useful and want me to personally help you apply this new awareness and this new way of eating consistently for your whole family's life, you can go to the link down below to book your free 60-minute consultation, where I'll be helping you understand the root causes of your child's excess weight and tell you what I would do to help them lose weight starting today.